Today we're on a mission, a very important mission, because you've got burning questions, I've got burning questions, and today we're putting the whole thing to rest. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to Disney Springs, where we're starting our day, but don't worry, we'll be bopping around because today is a battle of the cakes. Oh no, we're not messing around today. We're going to both Gideon's Bakehouse as well as the newly opened cake bake shop to find out who reigns supreme. It's gonna be a big day. It's gonna be an expensive day, but why not? Of course, because we are starting our day here at Disney Springs, first stop is Gideon's. Before we get there though, we need to lay some ground rules because we are doing this in the name of science. So there's a method to my madness. And it's really centered around what exactly we're gonna order because we want the fairest comparison, right? Now, Russ and I, we put our heads together on this one. We were talking for quite a while trying to figure out how to make this as fair as possible. And here's what we came up with, okay? So we're gonna order a piece of cake that's the same at both Gideon's and Cake Bake Shop. We perused the menu, that should be their red velvet cake. And we're also gonna order their most popular cake, whatever that is. Of course, outside of red velvet. I also heard that they have a chocolate chip cookie over at the Cake Bake Shop, so we're gonna get a chocolate chip cookie here too, right? Why not? Of course, there are other things that we're taking note of, including how long it takes us to get our cake and cookie. Of course, Gideon's is known for having a pretty juicy line, so we're gonna jump in that line now, and we'll let you know how it goes. All right, we made it in. At this point, we have been waiting just about 25 minutes. Not too bad. Looks like they have some delicious cookie options. Of course, they do rotate some of them out seasonally. We're not gonna get any seasonal cookies today. We're gonna stick with the original chocolate chip. All right, we have our cake and our cookie. It is the red velvet as well as the salted caramel cake, which is what the amazing staff member in there told me was their best seller. The total for this particular location came to $30.67. That did include a tip. Chocolate chip cookie was $6. Each slice of cake was $9. We're not gonna eat this right now, but I do wanna take a look at it because we do need to make our way over to the Boardwalk and I wanna see it fresh. You know, first though, bag, fantastic. I love a good bag. I love when attention to detail is in the packaging, and Gideon's definitely has that. We've got our chocolate chip cookie. This one is all wrapped up, but let's take a quick look. You've probably seen this before. Oh my goodness, don't want to lose any of those chocolate chips. Would you look at that beautiful cookie masterpiece. Okay, I'm gonna wrap that back up, put it back in the bag, and now I wanna look at the cake. This is actually gonna be my first time ever trying Gideon's cake. I keep wanting to come get a slice, never do. So today is the day. Again, we have great packaging. Let me give you a look from above because I don't wanna drop the cake. You know, we did spend $9 on each slice. So here is our salted caramel. Packaged very nicely. Oh, okay, oops, dropped the fork. That's all right, that's all right. Kind of peel this back. It's a good looking slice of cake. But let's look at the red velvet. Like I said, this one is the one that we're gonna be able to get at both locations. Make sure we don't drop the fork on this one. Ooh, look at that. That is red. Very exciting stuff. This cake looks so good. Now, I do want to give this cake the best chance at survival, so I did bring an ice pack with me today. I'm gonna try and fit this in here. It's a little cooler too. Nothing crazy, but it should be enough to keep everything cool. I might have to do some reconfiguring, and then we'll be off to the Boardwalk. All right, the cake is secure. Let's get going. We have made our way to the bus depot. I don't know what bus we need to jump on. Let's look. We need 10, so we have to go this direction. Also, two important things. This bag of cake is very, very heavy, and I got some black frosting under my fingernail. So if you happen to see my hand later on, you're wondering what the heck happened there. Black icing. But all right, as we make our way to the bus stop, number 10, talk a little bit about Gideon's. You know, I have to say, Gideon's is a pretty cool place in terms of like overall vibe. It's kind of spooky, which I think is fun. Of course, it's not going to be for everyone. Now, one of the things that I think is definitely worth noting when it comes to Gideon's is that it's really a place that you're in and out of, right? You're not hanging out in there. There's no tables in there. You're just kind of moving through the line, order your stuff, and then go, which is nice because it keeps things moving. But if you're looking for more of a sit-down place to like chill and just vibe out, you're not going to get that from Gideon's. Though there are some places around Disney Springs where you can go enjoy your cake and cookies, but they don't have any tables or benches right there. So just, you know, make note of that. Other than that though, there's not really much else to say about Gideon's. So I guess we'll just leave it there and wait for the bus to Boardwalk, where we'll then make our way to Cake Bake. Sounds like a good plan to me, if it sounds like a good plan to you. Look at that. Just made our way into the line, and here comes our bus. I mean, couldn't ask for better timing. And it's a Coco bus. I love that movie. All right, we've arrived at the Boardwalk. Cake Bake Shop is like right over there. I did do a quick costume change, if you will. Starting to get a little toasty, so the sweatshirt had to come out, regardless how cute it was, okay? I know, it's super cute. Who doesn't love a vampire bluey? But, you know, carrying around 25 pounds of cake, at least that's what it feels like at this point, you work up a bit of a sweat. Anyway, let's make our way over now, grab our cake and cookie, and then find a place where we can sit down, taste everything, and of course chat. I'm also looking forward to checking out the Cake Bake Shop because I haven't been in here yet. Of course, we've walked past this many times, but, you know, gotta go inside to really get a feel for the place. Also, you know the drill. We'll time it, see how long it takes us to get the goods, and I'll let you know. All right. Definitely a unique vibe in here. Certainly different from Gideon's, but you know, we're here for a reason. We've got a mission, so let's get to it. We need to buy some cake. So let me start off by saying that you do not get a bag at Cake Bake Shop. I have been hearing people say so many wonderful things about the bags that you get at Cake Bake Shop. They're reusable bags, they are an upcharge. So no, you can spend $69 on cake and a cookie plus tip and still not get a bag. Now, I do want to give you a look at what we've got here before we move on, because I don't know if I want to sit here or if I want to go sit in that little gazebo area. It's a little bit more out of the way, but I do want to take a quick look before we move. Also, I have to get myself situated because I have no bag. And these boxes aren't like, they're not like taped. So if you grab them just right, they kind of just open. So we're gonna have to pull out the Gideon's bag and put this cake in that in order to move to a more convenient location. But let's take a look. So first we have our cookie. Yeah, there's a cookie in here. This is the chocolate chip cookie. I should probably tell you the prices on this. This cookie was $6.99. Then we have our red velvet cake. See what it looks like. There it is. And then, kind of scoot this over, then we have what they told me was their best seller. So this is Gwendolyn, is that her name? Oh goodness, forgive me. This is the famous cake, what they are known for. The red velvet was $22.99 and this cake was $24.99. All right, our cake has been packed up in our Gideon's bag. Thank goodness I held on to it. Let's go find a place to sit and give this stuff a try. Now, I will say, I do think not having bags available to guests, especially if you're purchasing more than one item, is a choice. Now, I did inquire about whether or not they had bags available. They said, unfortunately, no, not unless you purchase a reusable bag, because they are trying to move away from plastic, which I understand and I respect, but there's a solution for that. And it can be cute too. Anyway, we're here to taste some stuff. So let's get into it, and you know what? Let's start small with the cookies. Now, of course, we have our $6.99 cookie from the Cake Bake Shop, our $6 cookie from Gideon's. This is what they look like in the package. Let's pull them out though and take a better look. So here's our Cake Bake Shop cookie, and here's our Gideon's cookie. They're kind of different. Although this one does have some glitter on it. So there's that. Of course, we need to take a bite of both. Let's start with this one. Now I'm gonna break it in half and in half again, because I do intend on sharing this with Russ and the Boo Crew. So let's give it a nibble.
Two foolish mortals.
Yeah.
I love you.
Oh, hi. Sorry, quick break there because I just met one of you, and I know you're probably watching, so hi, it was nice to meet you, and don't ever worry about interrupting me. There's really no such thing, you know? Anyway, had our first nibble. I wanted to save a little bit more in case I wanted to go back in. Now we gotta take a bite of our Gideon's cookie. I'm gonna need a knife for this one because this one is chunky. Now I love Gideon's cookies, but I do wanna say, like right off the bat, I'm not a huge fan of getting anything average, especially from places like this. You know, Gideon's cookies, they're kind of expensive. These are definitely expensive cookies here at the Cake Bake Shop as well. And while chocolate chip cookies are delicious, especially if they're your thing, I feel like there are better choices. You know, there are different things, more unique things to try. So anyway, here's our quarter of our Gideon's cookie. If you want a side-by-side comparison, this is what we're looking at here. It's a chunky cookie. So let's take a nibble of this. Super chocolatey. You definitely get a lot of chocolate here. There isn't much chocolate in this cookie. I don't know if that's just the little corner that I got. I don't know how well you'll be able to see this. Maybe if I hold really still. But, you know, this is like a homemade chocolate chip cookie with some glitter on it, which isn't bad. But is it $7 good? Probably not. This is chocolatey. This is a chocolate lover situation. Lots of chocolate here. As you can see, like, it's everywhere. This is definitely a better cookie. I also can't argue the value, you know, like, this is a cookie you can share with a family of 4. This is a cookie you can suck down in 30 seconds or less. So, it's my official position on that, but we got some cake to get to. So let me wrap this back up and yeah, we'll get into this cake. Now I want to start today with the red velvet cake, but before I get into it, I need to be clear, I'm not a fan of red velvet. I decided to go with it because it was the item that showed up on both menus, and I wanted to have as close a comparison as I could. So it just seemed like the obvious option. So if either of these blow my socks off, know that it's because it was just good and not because I'm a huge fan of red velvet. I will say, just really quick, I did already open this box, so bear with me there, but I do appreciate that the Gideon's boxes, they have this little, I don't know if I can get it in here now, but they have this little like latch thing. It's not staying because I'm, you know, but I like that it holds the box shut, unlike this one where if you grab it on the sides, see it like opens. So I don't know, just sharing my thoughts on the packaging in case any of you were curious. Also, yes, I am getting icing and chocolate all over me. I didn't get any napkins because I was like, I don't need any napkins, it'll be fine. And now I'm like, why didn't you get any napkins, Kat? Fortunately, I have some tissues, but just know that this is a messy one, guys. This is a messy one. All right, so we have our, I'm gonna try and open this up as best I can. It is looking a little melty, this Gideon's cake, even though I did have it on ice. But we looked at it before we left, you know, for just this reason, in case it didn't hold up all that well. So here we have our Gideon's red velvet cake. It's definitely redder, definitely more like in your face with the redness. And then here we have the Cake Bake Shop red velvet cake. Can you see it? Now, one thing that I'm noticing, I want to give you a look at this, is that we seem to have some chocolate chips in here. No chocolate chips over here. Should we start with the Gideon's first or the Cake Bake Shop first? Let's start with the Cake Bake Shop. We tried that cookie first. So I want to start with just the cake. Let's try just the cake, then we'll try just the icing, then we'll try a bite of both. Interesting. It's definitely a bit dry, and it's got that taste of cake that's been in the freezer. Nice icing, very light, like a whipped cream icing. Oh, we have a filling in here too. So that's a little bit different. Let's try that. Is this cream cheese? That's good, but very average. Nothing that you wouldn't get out of a can from your local grocery store, in my opinion. Let's get a little bit of everything though. That's nice. I do like how light it is. It is a really big piece of cake. And sometimes cake like this, when the icing is too heavy, when it's like Crisco based or something like that, is just too much. That's not the case with this, which is nice. So there's that, definitely worth noting. I didn't really get any like distinct chocolate chip pieces in my cake. I'm gonna grab another little bite and see if I can taste those chocolate chips. It's hard to see, but there are little chocolate chips in here. It's there visually, but I don't really taste it. It's just chocolatey, like red velvet cake usually is. All right, moving on to the Gideon's cake now. We do have a little bit of a different situation with this cake. So it's definitely not as dark. We don't have chocolate chips in here, but we do have like cookie pieces, which, I mean, I'm all about that. Let's do the same thing. A little bit of the cake, a little bit of the icing, and then a bit of everything. Cake is about the same. The texture is a little bit crumbly. I don't know if it's just because it's on the end there. Let's see. About the same. The first piece, maybe it was just the way that they cut it when I went in with my fork. It was a little crumbly. Let's see what the icing tastes like. And this doesn't have like a separate icing and filling. So, you know, there's that. Okay, so this is a cookie and cream icing. It has those cookie pieces in it, and it has a nice balance between a light icing and still having that like traditional cake icing that you're probably familiar with. It's not a heavy icing like a shortening or Crisco based icing, but it's not as light as like a full whipped cream based icing either. Pretty good. Pretty good. They're both pretty good. I will say that the Gideon's cake does not have that chocolate flavor that you get out of the cake from the red velvet Cake Bake Shop cake, but it does have a lot of other flavors, like I said, with that cookie and cream icing. It's very unique, it's special. The Cake Bake Shop red velvet, not as special in terms of like a unique flavor. Delicious, but definitely not special. Next up though, we have to talk about their best sellers at both locations. So we have a salted caramel cake from Gideon's, and we have Gwendolyn's famous cake from Cake Bake Shop. Same thing as last time. We're gonna take a taste of all the pieces individually, then we'll take a taste of everything together. I will say that this cake from Cake Bake Shop smells very chocolatey. Give you a look here. Make sure we don't drop it. There it is. Looks very chocolatey. Let's see. Let's start with just the cake. This looks very moist. That's like a brownie, like the richness of a brownie, not the texture of a brownie. Nice and light. I do like that. We do have, the filling is like chocolate ganache and icing. chocolatey, not as rich as you would think it would be, but I think that was done intentionally because the cake itself is so rich. Let's taste this chocolate icing. It's light and fluffy, like the icing on the red velvet cake. It's chocolatey, but again, not over the top. Also, there's glitter on this as well, if you were wondering. Now let's taste, well, I think the outside icing is the same, is it? Yes, okay. A little bite of everything together. Guys, this is a lot of cake. Here we go. That's a nice chocolate cake. It's a lot, it's very rich, but at the same time, it works. It works together and doesn't feel like too much. I can definitely see how they might be known for this cake. Like, this is the cake that makes them world famous, because you look at it and you're like, it's a chocolate cake. How impressed am I gonna be by a chocolate cake? It even looks like it's rich and it's gonna be a lot, but when you take a taste of it, it's not. So I think that that kind of, you know, it sets it apart, at least in my opinion, but it is still just a chocolate cake. Doesn't really feel too unique to me, doesn't really feel like something that is particularly special. It's just good. But all right, here's our last one. My goodness, is this heavy. This is one of those moments where Russ would have been like, why didn't you bring the food scale? Because we have a food scale at home, and he's been thinking that he wants to bring the scale with him so that he can weigh certain foods just for curiosity's sake. And this is one of those foods that I feel like would have been worth bringing a scale for. This is the salted caramel cake, and it's heavy. It is heavy. So this is also a chocolate cake, which is interesting. Great opportunity to make another comparison there, even though we weren't trying for that. You can see there it is. You can definitely see the caramel injected right into the icing. Looks so good. Same thing as last time. The cake does look very similar. It looks like it's gonna be like a really rich chocolate cake, which, I mean, I'm not complaining. Just the cake right here. That's nice. It doesn't taste too special. Looks really rich, looks really dense, but it's not too much, you know? All right, let's try some of this icing. Again, this is salted caramel. Whoa, that is caramel. No question about it. It is an intense caramel flavor. Doesn't taste artificial though, which is really nice. It is a heavier icing, but I do think that that's gonna pair well with this cake. So let's get a bit of both. Get a little bit of caramel in this bite. Ooh, this is gonna be a big bite. I'm eating a lot of cake today. This is the best piece of cake we've had today. No question. While the icing is heavy, and caramel of course is heavy, it is a perfect match for this chocolate cake. It's just, I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better pairing. The cake itself isn't too dense or rich, it's just chocolatey enough. When you take a bite of this, it tastes like a candy bar. And I think that that's fun. It's definitely unique, definitely interesting. Honestly, something I would get again. All right, so we've tried all 4 pieces of cake. It's a lot of cake, even just having a little bite of each. Of course, we did try the cookies. I have to say, while all 4 pieces of cake were good, there are some pieces of cake that stood out above the rest. For me, the best cake, like I mentioned, was that salted caramel cake. That one was just stand out. It was so delicious, so unique. And yeah, the red velvet from Gideon's also was very good. It was stand out, and I liked that. The cakes from Cake Bake Shop were also good, though not stand out like the cakes from Gideon. They weren't really unique. I didn't really feel like anything made me go, yeah, I need to get another slice of that. Of course, that might just be the flavors that we ended up with today. They have other cake options, you know? Same is true for Gideon's. Now, the cookies, there's no question. One stood out above the rest, and that was Gideon's, obviously. Not only was it a lot of cookie for your money, it was unique, it was delicious. That's not to say that the Cake Bake Shop cookie wasn't good, it was, but it was similar to something that you could have made from pre prepackaged dough at home. Certainly not anything worth $6.99, even with the glitter. But you know, it's not called the cookie bake shop, it's called the cake bake shop. And while I am glad that we tried cookies at both places, you know, great opportunity to draw a little bit of comparison there, the cake makes for a much more interesting discussion. And that's both because we had much more variety when it came to cake than cookies, lots more to compare against, you know, but also because that's where the biggest price difference is. And it is quite the difference we're talking about when it comes to these cake slices. Gideon slices were like $9 a piece. Cake bake was like 23 to 25. And so that definitely has us wondering, like, it's good, but is it $25 good? That's a question. By the way, for those of you who are wondering how we got here today, like you saw earlier, we started our day at Disney Springs and then we jumped on a bus to make our way here to the Boardwalk. That's a great way to get around, especially if you don't want to spring for a rideshare or anything like that. Just jump on a bus to Disney Springs, then take that bus to wherever it is that you want to go. You can also take a bus to any of the resorts from any of the theme parks. You can also take the Skyliner to different locations. You know, be creative, but you don't need to pay to get to a resort if you're not staying there. There are ways to get around for free. Anyway, getting back to the cake, I have a really hard time feeling like any of the cake from the cake bake shop is worth what it is that they're charging. Again, that doesn't mean that I don't think it's good. That doesn't mean that I don't think that it's delicious cake, but $22, $25, that's a lot. It's a lot for a slice of cake. I mean, today, like I told you, we got 2 slices of cake and of course I tipped, and the cookie, it was nearly $70, like only off by a couple coins. And in my opinion, that's an astronomical amount of money for what we got. There's really no way around it. I also think that there's something to be said for the experience. You know, everyone always says that the cake bake shop is all about the experience. And I know that some of them are talking about the table service dining option. Some of them are talking about the cakes themselves. They say that the cakes are what stands out. I hear you, I get it. But I think that that experience needs to be all-encompassing. You know, you need to be considering things like where your location is. You know, here you're at the Boardwalk, you're at Disney World, people are moving back and forth, walking back to their rooms. The fact that they don't have bags for your cake, especially when you order multiple pieces of cake, I mean, that's wild. And yes, I know you could pay extra, but again, we're talking about just shy of 70 bucks here for 2 pieces of cake and a cookie. I feel like having a bag would have completed the experience. It would have made it a pleasant experience for the guest, especially given the location. Not having a bag, or I should say a complimentary bag for guests who purchase multiple things, to me, just doesn't feel like good customer service, and it feels like a decision that was made by someone who doesn't necessarily understand the location that they're in. Speaking of location, we do need to talk a little bit about the vibe of the cake bake shop, because we did talk about Gideon's. It is a very different thing. It's upscale. It feels very much like the Grand Floridian, which to me feels a little bit weird at the Boardwalk. It doesn't feel like it fits with the theme, but maybe they're aiming for something a little bit more upscale. Personally, as a little bit of a side note, I think that they're aiming for this to be like the reception venue for weddings that may happen in this area. In fact, where we were sitting today is where they usually have like vow renewals. Sometimes they have weddings over there. So I'm thinking that this like fancy pants location is where they're aiming to have those people go and have their receptions, have their parties, whatever the case may be. No official word on that, just for the record, but that's what I think is going on here. Oh, I should also mention that we only waited about 5 minutes at Cake Bake. Of course, they were open when we arrived, so we didn't have to wait for them to open like we did at Gideon's. As a reminder, Gideon's was about 31 minutes. We did arrive about 15 minutes prior to them opening, so I guess you could say it was like a 15-minute wait. Depends on how you look at it, but a little bit more of a wait for Gideon's than here at Cake Bake, for whatever that's worth. All right, looks like our bus is here. Now let's make our way back to Disney Springs and we'll chat a little bit more. And just like that, we're back at Disney Springs. So convenient using Disney transportation to get around. But yeah, you know, back to the whole Cake Bake thing. I think it always depends on where you are, and it depends on where you want to put your money. I don't think that there's anything wrong with overpaying for something if that's what you want to do. Goodness knows there's a long list of things that I have overpaid for over the years, and I've been happy with my purchase, but I think it's important to note that, like, just because it looks fancy, just because they're charging a lot, doesn't necessarily mean that it's worth that. And I think that that's the case with the Cake Bake Shop. Now, I'll be the first person to tell you that I have no idea what the background of the Cake Bake Shop is. I know that they have some locations out in Indiana, I believe it is. The owner of Cake Bake has won some awards. Oprah likes her cake. You know, like, that's great. But what it comes down to for me is whether or not I think that you should go out of your way to give this place a try. I mean, it is, after all, out of the way, and it is going to take a chunk out of your budget. So I think it's a question worth asking, and my answer is no. No, I definitely don't think that this is worth going out of your way for or paying extra for. Despite the fact that it is glittery and the shop itself is fancy, I truly don't think that you're going to be getting anything here that you wouldn't be able to get from a good bakery in your hometown. Certainly aren't going to pay for it like you will here. So, you know, just something to keep in mind. On the other hand, we have Gideon's, a place that, honestly, I think is worth giving a shot. Now, does Gideon's have its downsides? Absolutely. They tend to have a long line, but there's a reason for that. They got good stuff. We've said it before and I'll say it again. Gideon's cookies are fantastic and well worth the price. I mean, they're half-pound cookies. And even though this is our first time trying their cakes and we only tried 2 of them, I'd try them again. I'd come back and get another couple slices of cake. And at $9 a piece, it's not a big deal. I can't say the same when we talk about Cake Bake Shop. But yeah, you know, every time we talk about something like this, it's always kind of a difficult conversation because it is up to you. People have different preferences, people have different places that they want to put their money. And if Cake Bake Shop is one of those places for you, then go for it. We never want to steer you away from trying something that you're really into, but we do want to help you set your expectations reasonably. And with this place, you really have to expect good, but not necessarily worth the price good cake and a really big bill at the end of it. So anyway, those are just my thoughts. Of course, feel free to share yours in the comments down below. I know that this is one of those places that a lot of people are talking about. A lot of people are sharing their thoughts, some after having tried it, some just looking at the menu and going, yikes, you know? But one way or another, I hope that this helps you make whatever decision is right for you and your family. Of course, if you have perused the menu, let us know what slice of cake you would have given a shot. Would you have tried the cakes we tried at Gideon's or Cake Bake? Tell me about it in a comment down below. If you've tried either, we want to know what you thought, so tell me about it. I want to hear it. But for now, I'm off. It's time to bring this cake home to Russ, see what he has to say. Wherever you are, I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Until then, bye.